This module is about creating a completely new brand name. Okay, that's going to be a brand name that didn't exist previously, that it isn't owned by anybody, and is something that is new and unique, and most importantly, describes a brand in your product category. So, essentially, what you're going to do, there's going to be a couple of articles that I want you to read, and they're academic research articles. And there'll be a website that I'm going to want you to go to. It's Rebrandly, and they've got a 5-step procedure for creating new brand names. So for this online module, you will follow those 5. You will first read the several articles that I've put up, and then you will follow the 5 steps. Now what I want to do with this introduction video is to kind of go through the various activities that are part of this particular online module. So the first thing is there's a couple of articles by a professor with the last name Klink, K-L-I-N-K. They're the 2 PDF articles that are under the required readings for this particular module. He is a professor, I believe he's at Loyola, Maryland, I believe. And he's been investigating, his area of interest is linguistics, which is a very fascinating area, and people in marketing, there haven't been a lot of people in marketing that have looked at it, but he kind of pioneered some of the research on how brand names sound and what that means to people. So actually different sounds when you pronounce a name or pronounce a brand name can mean different things just by how they sound, okay? So in Klink's research, he's got 2 articles. The earlier one, which is dated in 2000, he investigates the notion of vowels and consonants and how different pronunciations or different vowels and different consonants can actually have different meaning. Now, when you read that article, you'll find he makes a distinction between front vowels and back vowels, and front vowels are going to be where the position of the tongue is when you pronounce it. Like the word B, the tongue is very, very close to the teeth at the top of your mouth. When you say boo, the tongue moves back in your mouth. That's a front vowel versus a back vowel. And a front vowel, his hypothesis, and he has data that shows that it's true, a front vowel is always implied or always seen or interpreted as smaller, lighter, faster, and other related words, whereas back vowels are always interpreted as heavier, stronger, bigger, and related types of words. So that's the first thing he looks at. Then he also looks at consonants, and he divides consonants into stops versus fricatives, which stop, it would be a hard closure. When you pronounce the word P, for example, that's a hard closure versus a fricative, which is a non-closure, like an F, where there's still wind coming out of your mouth. And voiced versus voiceless consonants. Voiced is where the vocal cords will actually vibrate, and voiceless, or it will be where the vocal cords vibrate less. And you can read about that and learn about the different letters in the alphabet and how they actually are pronounced in different ways, and how they're pronounced and how they sound can mean very different things to different people. That's the first article. The second article, he then relates back vowels and front vowels, okay, to elements of our personality framework, our brand personality framework. And specifically, he looks at how back vowels, which are the oohs and those type, connote more of a ruggedness, okay? Whereas the front vowels, like B, connote more of a sophistication and sincerity personality trait. So those are the 2 background articles that I'd like you to read. And again, they are academic research articles, so they may be a little bit difficult when it comes to reading about procedures regarding data collection, but it's actually kind of cool, and it has great relevance for brand strategy and brand research. And then what you're going to do is, after you've looked over those 2 articles, and there's a third one that I would like you to skim, and you can see that in the instructions. It's by an author named Aurora, which is, he provides a brand name framework, which is very helpful. Then I want you to follow the, the steps in the Rebrandly website, and I've got the link to the website, And then I've also got a PDF of the 5 steps. And the 5 steps are basically this. Step 1 is you create what Rebrandly calls your brand avatar. And a brand avatar is just simply a description of the ideal customer of your brand, okay? The prototypical ideal customer that you're targeting. Now, recognizing that not all customers are going to be ideal, it's going to be the one that you want to begin to craft your brand name toward. So understanding who the target audience is going to be a very important first step. The second step is going to be to create your brand archetype. And an archetype is how people think of things subconsciously, okay? So we have some brands which are very motherly and nurturing, okay? Johnson & Johnson and other brands like that might create these images that come to mind. Other brands have a heroic type of persona, okay? So the archetypes are the various how we think of things, inanimate objects, as if they were people, okay? Very closely related to brand personality. The third then is you're going to begin to generate some brand name ideas. This is where you're going to rely on some of the research by Clink to create a brand image based on just the brand name alone. So if you say the brand name to a person and have them write down what comes to mind, hopefully when you use a brand name with heavy back vowels, for example, people will write down things related to ruggedness and other similar types of personality descriptors. So the brand name alone is going to connote certain brand personality traits that I want you to be aware of before you begin to create your brand names, okay? So it requires a different kind of thinking where now you have to really, really think through the use of specific letters and specific vowels. And that's going to kind of create some interesting discussion, hopefully, among you and among your team, okay? The fourth step, maybe it's actually the easiest, but maybe the one where you lock up the quickest, and that is to find out if your brand name is available. So even if you come up with this cool brand name that projects the image that you want it to project, that you go online and you check to see if it's available and find no, it's not available, and that's going to be the difficulty. And so you'll want to start any domain name hosting service would be great. GoDaddy.com is very easy to use. It's got on their front page a place where you just type in whatever name you want, and it'll go search the world to see if somebody has that name, that domain name reserved. And if so, whether it's a .com or .biz, .org, and whatnot, and you can see the availability very quickly. It's a very, very fast service, and it's free too. So hopefully you'll be able to grab the domain name, and if you do have a cool name, okay, and it does seem to resonate with people, you might want to consider grabbing that domain because someday somebody will come along and say, you know what, I just came up with this cool brand name idea that you'll already own. So it could be something that could make you a little bit of money down the road. And then the last step is you do want to concept test this, and concept testing can come in many different flavors. You can follow the procedures that were used in the Clink articles, okay? You can just have a simple survey where people, you present them with a couple of your brand name ideas, and you do want more than one, okay? But a couple of your brand name ideas, and ask them what comes to mind when they read that word. You can even have that word voiceover in the Qualtrics survey where it's pronounced by one member of your team and spelled, so a person can see the spelling and hear the pronunciation, and then they can write down what they think that means to them. You can place it in context, so you actually say it would be a soap or a laundry detergent or a toothpaste, so people can more firmly think about the context of that particular brand name. So that, in a nutshell, is the assignment. It will take you, I think, a good week, 10 days, maybe even 2 weeks to finish this. And I do have a due date in the assignment document itself. So you take a look at that, and work with your team and come up with some cool brand name ideas. I would be looking for 3 to 5 brand names. I think that that's going to be what you want to shoot for. Okay, and then we'll actually talk about these ideas in class in the coming weeks. Okay, so good luck, and I'll see you back in class.